At some point of time in your journey, you are stuck to pay with your team member. You are stuck to paying salary to your team members. You are always looking for the next sale. There's no plan. How did you overcome from this situation? What changes did you make to scale it up? What strategy will help you to grow at this point?
Okay, so the question, just to make sure, is how I went from being a slave from my own business to
Yeah.
transitioning into webinars game, right?
Hey guys, welcome to the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. This is where we interview entrepreneurs, affiliate marketer, coaches, and consultant. And in this amazing series, today we have a super awesome guest with us. His journey is really inspiring. He is a co-founder of the webinar guy. He is running a French speaking marketing agency with the most 2 comma club awards, sell 1 million of product in less than 12 months. He's running a movement that changed the world in its own way. He won 4 2 comma club awards. One you are going to see behind him, and the other three is in his office. Top marketers in the world voted him the one webinar expert. He is on a mission to make more millionaires. So without further ado, let's have Dany Therrien on the stage. Hi, Dany.
Hey, hi guys, what's up? I'm happy to be here.
It's really glad to have you on the show and really you're super pumped up, super excited for today's session. How about you?
Yeah, everything's good, man. Everything's awesome, and it's an honor to be here. I'm excited too, and let's do this. I'm gonna give the best of myself and the best value possible.
Definitely. So, guys, if you're watching us on live, drop hashtag live. Watching us on replay, drop hashtag replay. And if you have any question, drop in the chat box in the comment section. Danny will going to answer your question. So, Danny, we are good to go. Are you hearing me loud and clear?
Oh yeah, of course, man. Always good to go.
Thank you so much. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself on how you get started with this particular journey? What is your backstory?
The journey of the webinar itself, or the journey of marketing?
Yeah, your journey. Like, what is your backstory? How did you enter into this particular
All right,
niche?
cool. So when I was younger, I always been into sales. I did nothing else than sales in my life. So at 15 years old, I was selling shoes. At 16, I was selling luxury furnitures. Then I went into cars and everything, and I just developed a passion for that. And at a certain point, I was closing everybody I would talk to. So I was like, "What's next?" Right? What's next when you have like you close everybody? And at this point, I was like, oh, it's about how to generate my own leads, right? It's about how to have more people talking to me so I can still close more people. And at this point, I was tired of selling cars. I was tired of how the industry works and everything. So once I learned how to generate my own leads for automotive cars, which I was the first one in Canada to be able to do, I was like, oh, I'm done with that. And then I launched my marketing agency, right? So that's how it goes. And then it went well, right? I was a good closer. So I got my first customer fast and everything was doing well. And at a certain point, I became the slave of my own business. I realized I created myself a job, not a business, right? So 2019, I go to 10X GrowthCon of Grant Cardone and I see Russell Brunson for the first time ever. And he closes $3 million right in my face. $3 million in 90 minutes. And we were at MGM Grand, right? And it's like a square. And there was four stand where you could purchase his offer. And from stand 1 to stand 2, there was a line. From stand 2 to stand 3, there was a line. So the whole entire MGM was filled with buyers. And at this point, I'm like, I gotta learn how to do that. This sounds amazing. Like this was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, that's how I got started. And then I just give it my all, and here we are.
This is insane. When you mention like you saw the live pitching of $3.2 million in sales by Russell Brunson is crazy, man. It's literally awesome. And I saw that particular video of 90-minute sales on YouTube many times, like how he is doing it, what is the process, and you saw it live. That is completely different experience. How was your experience? Like, what is the one takeaway, biggest takeaway that you take and add on into your business, into your life that change your
at
stuff.
this seminar itself at the Tennis Growth Con, it was not that much of a takeaway because you don't understand what he's doing. but you see it. So what it did for me is my mindset. It drew like it 10x my mindset in 90 minutes. I was like, this is possible, right? This is possible. And at a certain point, I don't know for you, but as an entrepreneur who was not born in an entrepreneur family, as no entrepreneur friend when I got started and everything, possibilities still are small, or were small in my own head. I was like, oh, if I could do 10K per month, and then I did it. Oh, if I could do 25K per month, and then I did it. Oh, if I could have my first Tukuma club. So everything is like always a small goal, right? And at this point, I was like, oh shit, I can have way bigger goal. Like this is a game changer for life. Like you can do so much more than what I thought I could do on my own. So that was the takeaway. Is like, man, think bigger. Stop playing small. Think bigger, play bigger. So that was my takeaway.
Think bigger and play bigger. Guys, write it down in front of your eyes every single day and manifest it. Superb. Thank you so much for this great idea.
You're
Great
welcome.
takeaways. Yeah. So you made your first $1 million with webinars within 12 months and your second $1 million within 7 months. Is there any specific framework or step-by-step method you apply that help you to grow your business?
Yeah, of course. One thing that really helped me at this point was that I was a good salesman who knew what people needed to hear to sell them. So doing my first webinar was kind of easy. I was not that good with the perfect webinar script, but I had great closing line. I had great stories. I had great transitions. Everything that I learned about sales, I was able to apply it in the marketing world, right? So, and I devoted my whole entire life to sales. So at this point, it became pretty easy for me. But what I use is the perfect webinar script mixed with all the psychology and sales tricks that I know. And it works well. It worked really well. In 2021, it was the best year of our lives. We started making like 200-300K per month per customer. It was amazing. Yeah, so that's how we did it, man. I just took the marketing skills that Russell teaches, and then I applied my own personal sales skill set that is honestly pretty unique. And when I mix the both together, it goes really well. Does that
Yes.
answer your question?
Yes, that is totally making sense that you apply your own skill set with the proper framework, step by step strategies, and then you are able to make it possible. And that is totally making sense. Amazing, mic
Yeah.
drop. So many nowadays, what people are saying is what many marketers are telling like webinars are dead and they do not work. So what is the truth? Is it really working, or why is it working? If it is not working, why it is not working?
Okay, cool. So here's the truth. Everything you do wrong won't work anymore and is dead.
Yeah.
Everything you do right will work again, will still continue working. So people are like, webinars are dead. No, is your webinar good? Are you a great presenter? What is your close? Do you have a great offer? Have you understood your customer well? How about empathy? What's your conviction in your offer? How about your energy when you're presenting? All those things are way more important than are webinars dead? No, they're not, right? Just like a challenge can work or not. Just like a one-on-one sales call can work or not, right? You never heard anybody say, oh, one-on-one sales is dead. No, you just get better at sales. So now you close more people, right? It's the same thing with honestly everything you do in life. So I won't say, oh, webinar is the greatest thing. No, it's the greatest thing in the world if you're good at it, if you're good at presenting, if you're good at sales, and if you're not yet, you got to practice, right? I'm not here to sell the dream. You got to practice. You got to become good at your craft. You cannot just think it's about doing a Google slide that looks good. Then you will think webinars are dead because you won't close, right? But if you follow the script, if you make sure the perfect webinar script, if you make sure you have great energy when you're presenting, you have conviction in your offer, you know that your offer will change the world of the person listening to you, then webinars are the best thing ever, man. It's just like the best business model you can ever imagine. You have freedom, you have recurring revenues, you have stability in your business, you have security. Everything goes so good when you know how to do it. It's like amazing. It's hard to believe how good it can be. When people think it's dead, it's I'm the living proof. It's far from being dead. It's like the most alive thing in the world right now.
Yeah, it is making so true. Like All you have to do is you have to good with your craft. The more you are better with your craft, the more better you are better with your message, the more higher chances to get conversation. But right now you mentioned that you need to have a conviction within you. How somebody can develop a conviction? Because it is a very hard truth or reality that when you are going to pitch somebody something, you are not that much confident. How they develop this confidence within them?
Okay, first of all, that's a great question, and I love to have the opportunity to answer it. Um, there's so many way. Okay, so the first one is just make sure that what you're about to sell will help. If you're I'm a rewind to what I said, right? I was selling cars. The reason I was so freaking tired of selling cars is because I don't really help anybody. You can buy the same thing from everyone at like 3 miles radius, right? You're not helping, you're not changing a life. When I create webinars for my customers, I'm changing their life. I'm changing their life. I'm gonna give you a straight up example. We are partner, right? We do 50-50 on webinars, or we have
Yes.
different business model, but we're on performance. In 2021, we had a customer who made a couple $1 million with webinars. She built like this whole big cabin in the wood near a river with a spa, a sauna, a pool, and like it just changes lives. So when I know I helped her doing this, I can do it for everybody. So or in almost everybody, right? As long as he's or she's good too at delivering. So at this point, why would I not have conviction? I've proven myself again and again and again that it worked, right? In a real life scenario, it's not, oh, I read a book and it told me that I should do it this way. No, I did it and I achieved it and I had success with it. I'm gonna tell you straight up, you won't have conviction your first webinar. Just like probably you didn't have conviction in your first podcast. Just like I didn't have conviction in my first sales call, right?
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the better it gets. The more you do it, the better it gets. And one thing that I think is missing from today's world is the patience to become good at what you do. People are like, oh, webinars are not for me. You did one, right? Nobody in the world take a sales calls and is like, oh, I suck at sales. No, you do like 50 and then you're like, oh, I'm getting better. I'm getting used to, okay, I heard this objection now. Okay, I know how to close this. Okay, when he tells me this, I know how to answer now. It takes time, it takes experience. Just the same thing with webinar. My first webinar completely sucked, right? Completely sucked. I thought I made it because I sold for 26K in my own list. And I was like, I never made 26K. That's awesome. But it was hot traffic. When I tried it in cold traffic, I just lost every bit of money I had put in traffic, right? So at this time, I was like, oh, I got to get better. Not webinars don't work. I got to get better. And the more you work on your craft, the more testimonials you have, the more lives you change, then the more conviction you're going to have. Conviction, honestly, is something you earn. If you have conviction for no reason, I won't trust you, right? If you have conviction for no reason, that's a bad. That's not that good, right? You gotta have a reason to have conviction. How many lives have you changed? Like, how good are you at your craft? How sure are you that your offer is gonna change this people's world as long as he does or she does what you say, what you tell him to do or teach him to do, right? So that's how you develop conviction. Conviction is earned, man. Conviction is earned. And too many people say, oh, I'm not convinced. Go become convinced. Go change some lives. Work on your craft. Stay up late. Wake up earlier. Work. Read. Train. And then conviction is part of who you are, right? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, conviction I don't have if I do mechanics on my car. Oh, I don't have conviction, right? Oh, at this point I don't have conviction. So it's really about conviction is in a sphere, right? It's something specific. I have conviction in this. It doesn't mean I have conviction in everything in life. So I became good at this. It gave me conviction. So conviction is earned. That would be like my answer. Big
I
answer.
I really love this answer, and conviction is something you have to earn. One podcast every single morning I am listening. It is by Earl Nightingale. You have to earn it. In that 30 minute of podcast, 30 minute of audio, he mentioned you have to earn it. And definitely conviction is something you have to earn. When you mention go and change somebody's life, go and give them transformation, you are definitely going to get conviction by default automatically. That's what making sense and really mic drop answer you just shared with us. Thank you for sharing this.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're welcome, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, at some point of time in your journey, you are stuck to pay with your team member. You are stuck to paying salary to your team members. You are always looking for the next sale. There's no plan. How did you overcome from this situation? What changes did you make to scale it up? What strategy will help you to grow at this point?
Okay, so the question, just to make sure, is how I went from being a slave from my own business to
Yeah.
transitioning into webinars game, right?
Yes.
Okay, first thing is decide. Like, I was tired of working 80 hours per week, and that was not the life I wanted. So first thing is really decide, take the decision. So many people are like, oh, I don't really like that, but at the same time, it gives me money and gives me security. And what if I, what if, right? So just take the decision that you're going to change your situation. And honestly, that's about 90% of the answer. After that, it's work on your craft. So don't a lot of people are taking information. So they're going to YouTube, they watch video, they buy the perfect webinar script for $7 with Russell Brunson. They buy some books, they read .com secrets. And then they have all this knowledge that they can share with you at a table, in a podcast and everything. And you're like, how many webinars have you done with all this knowledge? Oh, I was not ready yet. Right? So the point is, when you take in information, you got to take out action. When you take in information, you got to get out action. And too many people take too much information before taking action. So then they're paralyzed because it seems so hard to do, right? Right? So just like building a house. If you're like, oh, that's the 1,757 steps, you're like, oh, shit. Shit, right? Sounds like a big project. But if I go step by step, I'm like, okay, here's how you do the foundation of the house. Okay, cool. I can get away with that. Now foundations are done. Not theory, and then I add more theory. Once I have the theory of the foundation, I create the foundation of the house. Then I'll learn how to do the walls. And then I'll go, okay, now I know how to do the walls. I won't think about the roof. I'll just put the walls, right? And that's what people don't do. They all take information, and they take no action. So at a certain point, and I've been guilty of this myself, by the way, with a lot of things. So at a certain point, it seems too hard to do, right? So first step, you decide that you will change your situation, and you really mean it. You're not like, oh, I'd love to. No, I'll freaking do it. There's absolutely no way that 3 months from now I'm in the same situation, right? You decide, you commit to yourself, you make a commitment with yourself. And then you start learning a bit, applying a bit, learning a bit, applying a bit, learning a bit, applying a bit, right? And at a certain point, your webinar is done, or your challenge is done, or your new business is done, right? But it's baby steps, but fast baby steps. Move forward fast, right? They say money loves speed, right? That's a saying. I also say success loves speed, right? It's very hard. Like, have you ever seen somebody that says, oh, it took me 6 years to launch my business and I'm successful? No. People are like, oh, I launched fast and it worked because I was all in, right? So that would be my answer to that.
Go all in and just instead of just consuming, being a slave of consuming, implement.
Yeah.
You will going to get the result. That's it.
The
That's
world
it.
is filled with a lot of intelligent people who did nothing, right? You don't want to be one of them. I'd better
Yes.
be dumb and achieving things than knowing everything and achieving nothing. You know what I mean?
So yes, that's true. I found this one thing from your story itself, like when you are sharing, like we are giving a $15,000 to our employee for and giving them a vacation. At some point of time, you have this particular situation, but how you are feeling when you are giving them this lifestyle?
Honestly, it's very cool.
Yes.
It was feeling very good.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because the person to which we offered this is really
Hmm.
an analytical person. So he's really a C's and everything. So he doesn't shows a lot of emotions, right? But when he
Hmm.
received this, he was like, hmm. right? He was very happy. So it's fun to be able to give back to the people who gave to you. It's fun to be in this situation, and also what it creates is an abundance mindset, right? It's like I can give, 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 and I won't lack. I can give, 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 and I won't lack because I have now the ability to generate money. So yeah, man, it felt good. It felt really good, and like Tony Robbins always says that you need to contribute in order to be happy. I'm not at a point where I can contribute as much as him or as much as a lot of people I know, but just the fact to contribute, to start contributing as fast as you can to the extent that you can is just amazing, man. It's a it's really feel good vibe. It's amazing.
Yes, that's a feeling of joy, feeling of fulfillment. The real fulfillment that we can see is yes,
Yeah.
I'm serving my audience. Right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So, you are voted a webinar expert by the top marketers in the world. Would you like to share this journey? Like how this is happen? Like it's big thing. One of the big thing I can say.
Yeah.
Would you like to
Uh,
share the journey?
Yeah, that's funny. It happened really fast. I'm in Russell Brunson's inner circle, and I went there and I was like, people are like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I do webinars," and I have not realized, to be completely honest, I thought I was the worst at webinar in this whole group. I have not realized because they are so good at what they do, and I saw them like, with a this big aura around them. And at a certain point, people were like, "Can you help me with my webinars?" The first one was Sarah Petty, and I was like, I was looking at her webinar and she built it with Russell's help. And I was like, oh, that I'd change that. I'd change that. I'd change that. I'd do it this way. And I told her straight up, I was like, we're gonna double your sales. And she was like, oh, that's cute, but there's no way it happens, right? And we almost tripled their sales. So, so at this point, I was like, oh, I know, like, is this a luck or can I repeat, right? So I went into another person, and this guy who's selling real estate online class on how to raise capital. He never had 200K months. We tweaked his webinar. He had his first 400K months. So I was like, oh, is this luck or can I do it again? Right. So at this point, I started doing it with people and people and people. And my success rate was 100% that increased sales of people in their webinar. So I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at that. Like, I have not realized how good I was before helping the best in the world double or triple their sales like this. So just like it clicked with me, like, oh, this is what I'm good at. I'm really good at sales. And webinar people are like, a webinar, no, it's a sales presentation, right? It's an online sales presentation. A webinar is just a term invented by marketers, but at the basics, you are selling something to someone, right? So yeah, I realized how good I was at that. And then with all the testimonials I had inside the inner circle, people are starting to call me the webinar king. There's this guy who started, hey, he's the webinar whisperer. And like, I was like, oh, that's so good. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Because I didn't think I didn't thought I was that good, to be honest. I thought I was average webinar guy, right? But when I started helping people who have made thousands of webinar tripling their sales, I was like, oh no, I know what I do, right?
Yeah.
So that's how
That's
I started.
totally amazing, man. Uh, you are part of Reservance and Inner Circle, and from there you are serving the people, and then you are going to get this particular badge, which is great, really awesome, inspiring. Just drop everybody, please drop in the chat box, inspiring. It is inspiring, right? Super. So what was your biggest takeaway from being a part of Russell Brunson Inner Circle? Like you, I saw you are also giving speeches inside the Inner Circle calls. So how was the feeling? How was the journey?
Inside the inner circle, what was the journey to get there?
Not you also did a you also give a speech inside the Inner Circle. You teach some people on from stage on Inner Circle.
Yeah.
So how was it? What is
Uh,
the
I gotta be honest though, everybody's doing it, so it's not like, oh, I'm Dany Therrien and I give speech to people. But it was at first really intimidating. I had this shirt, I sweat through it, so I put a hoodie, I sweat through it, so I put my coat up over the hoodie and I sweat through it. So it was very intimidating because last year my English was like a third of what it is right now. So I was about to speak in all of those like biggest marketer in the world without speaking that much English, right? So it was like very intimidating, but at the same time, it was so eye-opening and like I can do what I want. Seriously, I can do what I want. If I put my mind to it, I can do what I want. And by the way, the biggest thing I've learned in the inner circle, to answer the first part of your question, the biggest like change that I had inside the inner circle is real simple. Think bigger. Like what I learned is that I was thinking small. 99.9% of people are thinking small. They're way too small. It's hard to, I don't know why that is, to be honest, but it's hard to think big for real, right? I remember reading 10X book, the 10X rule from Grant Cardone. And at this time, it was like 10X your goal. And 10Xing my goal was like, doing 20K per month, right? So like it was not really big. So the thing I learned inside the inner circle is how big people think, but not only in business. How can I become the best husband or wife in the world? How can I become the best parent in the world? How can I contribute the most in the world? How can I create the biggest change in my customer in the world? How can I treat my employees so they develop themselves and I'm the best leader in the world? How can I become the best in my craft in the world? And all those people, this is how they think. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not thinking that way, right? I'm thinking way too small. I'm like, oh, how can I make more money? And that was like a year and a half ago. And now this is completely different. It's like, how can I contribute? How can I change the world? How can I make other richer? How can I make other healthier? How can I make other happier? Right? So at a certain point, you start thinking not that much about yourself anymore, but how can you contribute to the entire world? And for me, that was the biggest change that I had. It was like, man, think bigger, you're playing small. And at this point, it just hit me like a truck and I started playing bigger.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it. Because everything is start from our mindset, from this particular area.
Yeah.
And the more you think bigger, what you thought is actually making true, is actually happening. So if I share about myself, in 2020 when I started reading .com secret Russell Brunson book, and at that point of time I got this concept of being a reporter. I started thinking this particular concept in my mind. I manifest it, and then it happens in 2020, mid 2021.
Yeah.
So it all happens when you start thinking of it and in a positive direction with the right action.
Thinking about it and believing it. And if you
Hmm.
don't believe it yet, doing enough action so you start believing it because it's becoming a possibility, right? And a reality.
That's completely making sense, and you are nailing it down. Thanks for sharing. So, your completely journey is depends on sales. Like you mostly focus towards sales. You are the salesperson.
Yeah.
So, how did somebody become better at sales? What kind of things they change in their selling styles? Yeah.
Okay. I won't go into techniques, right? I won't go into techniques. And this one, it's not my own story that I'm about to tell. I learned it from Alex Armosi, okay?
Oh,
He's a
wow.
master at sales, but I will
Yes.
give him credit for that. So
Yes.
what he says is that the most important thing you can have in sales is conviction, right? Is conviction. And I want to share a little story that he shares, right? Again, it's not my story. He's
Nice.
like, okay, so now you're in 2023, right? And you
Yeah.
can go back in time 10 years from now and
Mhm.
seeing your parents right in front of you, right? They cannot know that it's you, though. They have to think you're a total stranger, right? But you know that this is your parents in 2013, right?
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
having a conversation with your parents and
Mhm.
you want them to sell everything they have so they can invest in Apple, right?
Yeah. Mm.
You don't need sales technique. You're gonna be like, hey man, okay, listen to me. You take everything you have, you put it in Apple stocks. They're like, who the fuck are you? Right? And you're like, no, 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 no. Sit on the couch, okay? You're gonna listen to me. This is very, very important. Probably the most important discussion you'll have in your life. Okay, so you sit down, you listen to me. They don't know who you are, right? It's not
Yes.
about sales skills. So at this point, they're like, no, we won't invest in it. No, 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 no. I'm gonna stop you right now. You invest everything you have in Apple. Just trust me, man. It's about to explode. It's gonna be crazy. It's about to be the biggest company in the world. You want to do this so you become multimillionaire. Ah, We don't know you, man. No, no, no. I don't freaking care if you know me or not. You're gonna take everything you have and you're gonna invest into Apple right now. And you ask no freaking question. You just do it, right? So what I mean by that is that at a certain point, conviction is way bigger than any technique in the world. For example, if they say we don't know you, you don't start answering the option. I know that you don't know me, okay? But let's say it like that. Is it about you not knowing me, or is it about you not knowing what I talk about? You don't know what I talk about. So let me tell you more about Apple. No, this is not how you're going to sell this deal, right? You're just going to, man, put it in their head. So they're like, I think he may be right. He really believes himself, right? He really believes himself. So at this point, what I want to answer is that the real way to increase sales skills fast is to have conviction in what you're selling. And if you don't have conviction in what you're selling, and I mean as a salesman, I don't mean as a business owner at this point, at the sales, for a salesman, just change what you sell, right? I used to sell car. I hated it. I had zero conviction. Now I sell my webinars. Oh man, I have conviction, right? So at this point, it's like, what do you sell? How convict? I don't even know if it's an English word, but how convicted are you about it? How much conviction you have about it? And that's going to make the difference. And if you don't have enough conviction yet, go work on your craft, go work on your skills, go get testimonial, go get stories. And this alone will get you 10 times faster a good salesman than learning sales skills. I'm going to be straight up honest with you.
Wow. Yes, it is making truly insane point that be conviction with your stuff and just go all in. Don't think too much. Just have this thing in your mind that you are going to change or transform their business, their life. And if you are not going to sell them this service today, you are doing this service to yourself by not transforming somebody's life.
Exactly. Exactly. This service to yourself, this service to themselves, this service to the society. For example, I help coaches. If I don't help a coach change 1,000 lives, I just hurt 1,000 lives by not selling this person, right? So at a certain point, sales becomes a responsibility when when you have conviction, then you can change lives. Sales becomes a personal responsibility. How how minded are you that you're about to change the world? How minded are you about making a difference, right? And at this point, this is what sales becomes about. It's not about I closed the deal, right? This is really the level one of sales. High level of sales is I'm changing the world and I'm closing people to do it, right?
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. We have a question from audience. Can we take?
Yeah.
Awesome. Abhinandan is asking this. What is the best advice you ever received about business?
That's a funny one. I'm answer vague on this one. Take advices on where you're at. For example, if I'm gonna tell you, oh, make money while connecting your mission with your mission, that's the best advice I heard last year. If I heard it in my beginning, it would have meant nothing, right? So if you're under $1 million, focus on sales and marketing. If you're over $1 million in revenue, focus on your mission and what you want to contribute in the world. So the best advice I can give you is to take advice from somebody who's one step ahead of you and can give you the tip that you need to hear right now. Don't take advice from somebody who's way too far from you because it will seem intimidating. That's one thing I used to do when I was beginning. I was taking advice from the best in the world, and man, I was like, oh shit, I'm not good enough, right? So when you're just like taking the advice from somebody who's one step further and who has done it well, right, who has done it really well, then it will help you advance and advance and advance faster. So my best advice is to take advice from the good people, from the best people you can take, and also make sure that the advice that you get is from somebody who did what you want to do, right? For example, I hired this mentor from a company called Scaling Up. It costed me 50K USD to have a Scaling Up mentor, the company from Vernie Harnish. He had this lighting company, was doing 26 millions per year, great business. But it's not my business model. Like, it's the total opposite. So almost everything he taught me was not useful to me. Is the guy intelligent? He's the best at what he does. Like, he's a beast at business building, team building, leadership, everything. That's not what I needed, right? So give me the best advice, but for me it meant nothing. So find somebody who done what you want to do, and make sure to take advice from these person. So the best advice I can give you is take the greatest advice ever.
It is literally awesome advice right now, and take advice from the people whom you are going to resonate, and as well who is on your point, who is on your journey as well. Great. Thank you, Denny, for sharing a lot of golden nuggets with us, with our audiences. Great advice. Thank you. Yeah, lots of people have great comments inside the comment section. So, where do people can find you?
People can find me. They can add me on Facebook. Right now, we haven't launched the webinar guys brand yet. We because I have a like I'm pretty known in the French market, so I just like do this and I have my customer. So,
Yeah.
but at this point, we're launching our webinar by the end of January. So we're gonna launch our brand soon. But in the meantime, they can just simply come see me at Dany D Therrien on Facebook, or they can also come see me on Instagram, Dany D Therrien on Instagram. I'm starting to share a lot of great tools, a lot of great tips, and it's only gonna get better as soon as we launch our program.
Awesome. And before we wrap up the show, any three biggest mistake that you did in the past, you want to suggest not to do my audience that
Oh
won't
yeah,
repeat the
a
same mistake.
lot,
Yeah.
man. I made almost every mistake possible in the world. So, first one I did when I launched my own business, and that's a funny story because I'm a closer, right? I'm a salesman, like a good one, right? And when I launched my first business, I focused on everything but sales. I was like, oh, I need my business card, I need my website, I need everything. So far from true. So when you launch your business, if you're just starting, focus on sales, 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 sales. Nothing else freaking matters. Nothing else. Oh, I don't have the brand. Who cares? I still don't have one and I have four to come club awards in the business, right? Like, who cares? I don't have a website. Who cares? I don't have business card. Who cares? I don't have this suit that fits me. Like, who cares? Sell the deal, close the deals, man. That's how you. So the first mistake I made was not focusing on sales. So it cost me 6 months of my life, and I had to find a job again. So I just lost 20K 6 months of my life because of this simple mistake. So focus on sales. First one. Second mistake I made was procrastination. Like I told you, what I told you to do earlier is because I did a mistake. So don't take too much information at once, right? For example, if you're reading any book, read chapter one, apply chapter one. Not read the entire book. Read chapter one, apply chapter one. Read chapter two, apply chapter two. Read chapter three, apply chapter three, right? Um, so at this point, it's like apply, apply, apply. Not learn, learn, learn. Apply, apply, apply. So that's the second mistake I made is I took too much information, and at this point, it seems so intimidating to me. And the best advice I can give to somebody who feels it like he's in this situation right now is just start over again. Start the first thing you learn, go back to this thing and just apply it, right? So for example, I'm gonna give the example of the book again. If you read Dot-Com Secrets and you're like, oh shit, that's like way too much for me to do, just go back to chapter one and apply. Then
Yeah.
to chapter two and apply if you feel like this. So apply faster than you learn, and you're gonna have great results fast, right? And the third tip is do it with fun. If you don't like what you do, you're not gonna love your life. Life is way more important than the success you have in business. Are you happy? Are you enjoying your work? I just enjoy sales. I enjoy selling on webinar. I enjoy selling my customer. I enjoy training my customers on sales. Sales my life, right? So I just enjoy what I do. So it gives me energy, man. I don't wake up in the morning like, oh, there's another day that I have to go teach sales. No, man, that's what I do. I'm the salesman. I love sales. I'm the webinar guy. I'm webinar whisperer. I love it. That's what I do, and I do nothing else in the world. So right now, if you're doing something that you're like, oh, I don't really like it, change, man. Change, right? So the third one is make sure that you love what you do with passion, right? The reason I'm not into graphic design is that I hate design, so I would not launch a business in graphic design, right? Even if AI can make it so good, and I could make honestly, anybody who launch a graphic design with AI right now, agency like unlimited design for X amount, will make money. The reason I don't do it, I hate it, right?
Yeah.
So first thing is focus on sales when you're starting, right? Second thing is focus on applying, not consuming, applying. And the third one is,
Implement.
yeah, it's implement. The third one is make sure you love what you do with your whole entire heart, right?
Yeah. Your passion to work, not to money. If your passion is only towards money, you are going to give up very quickly.
Yeah,
You are,
you can make money
yeah,
in everything. You can make
yeah.
money in everything. 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 I could sell those stars. I could sell TV like that. I could launch a construction company. I could do a biohacking coaching. You can do anything in life, man. Just choose something you really, really love and become the best at it. I chose sales. Sales saved my life. I freaking love sales. I gave it my all, man. I gave it my all. I studied it like no people in the world. I was self-talking to me in the mirror, like in sales we do mirror talk. I was doing 6 hours a day of mirror talk, working 12 hours a day, leaving me 6 hours to do anything else than sales for a couple of years. I just love it, man. I love it. I don't know what I would have done else, man. Like, this is what I love. So make sure you love what you do as much as I love what I do, and you're gonna find success in anything in life.
Super. That is super, super duper awesome session we have. And do what you love. You are going to make it possible one day for sure. Thank you so much, Danny, for joining us today on the show. It's really glad and super awesome session with lots of golden nuggets we have, and all the amazing audience who are watching us live till the end. Thanks a lot, DJ Abhinandan, and who else? Jeffrey, all the amazing people. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I'm Nilesh Jain signing off. I'll join you with another episode on the Entrepreneurs Warrior Show. Till then, bye bye.
All right,
Thanks a
bye. It was a pleasure, everybody. It was an honor.
lot.